My name is David Craven. I work at Grosvenor Farms Limited. It's on the Eton estate as part of the Duke of Westminster's estates. We're farming 6,000 acres. We've got 2,600 cows and 2,000 acres combinable crops with maize and grass silage mainly as our forages. So we're an intensive system, calving all year round. We're rolling average about 12,500 litres a cow, just slightly under 40 litres a day. We're on a Tesco's contract through Muller, producing around about 90,000 litres a day. The reason I joined the sector board was I felt that we needed to have representation for large-scale dairy farming, especially on our intensive system. I think it's an area that's expanding across the country, and I'm really keen to have a representation across all the sectors within dairy. So I originally joined the board 4 years ago. At that time, an awful lot of the policy was already set in place and the direction of travel over about a 5-year period. So we were pretty much just mining what was already currently going on within the sector. And I think the major difference between the Dairy Council, we're having a reset. We're listening to what the levy payers want us to do. And from that, we can then devise policy. And then we can look as a council to where this money should be spent and how it should be spent, which is quite fundamentally different when it was the board. So I now have 3 sector council meetings. And I think it's right to say that we spent an awful lot of time to make sure the detail's right, going through from the vote, understanding what the vote is entailing and how we're now going to set out the next 5 years, certainly, to see where this levy and pay should be spent and how we're going to do that. From the votes that came in, it's really no surprise that we're worried about reputational damage. We listen to it on the press day in, day out. I think it's vitally important the AHDB are there to guide us, to help us, to be our voice in the industry. And I think it's the cohesiveness of the AHDB to be able to get that information across to the people that make the decisions, especially within policymakers. And I think we need to concentrate about doing things that an individual farmer can't do himself. But and I think it's one of the jobs and roles of the AHDB to facilitate for areas that an individual business can't do, but it's very useful going forward. So currently the new strategy we're going through line by line. We're understanding what the votes are telling us. We've then got to decide on where we want to spend the money most appropriately. So we're going to be short term, medium term and long term, as most of these things are. What is the most effective? For example, if we're going to do a lot of the votes were going on about marketing. We're going to do a big marketing campaign that's very expensive. So we've got to make sure we tailor that appropriately. And I think what we need to sort of understand is that some of the areas around environment, certainly around environment, will lead onto our reputational damage if we don't get that right. So we just need to understand exactly where we need to resource each individual area to make sure we are delivering on what levy payers want to do. Yeah, so currently our farmers are going to we'll see what we intend to do and how to spend this levy in the very near future. Say it's just taking a little bit of time, and I think rightfully so. Make sure we get that right for levy payers and for farmers. The genetics on this herd are very high. We were a closed herd for over 25 years. Unfortunately, with TB, we have forced our arms slightly to restock by having to purchase cows from external sources. Now we're back to where we need to be. So breeding is a huge part of what we do. We genomically test every calf, every female calf that comes onto the farm. It gives us a real good selection criteria. We're using the top genomic bulls currently that are offered, and we are driving performance. And we're now seeing, certainly over the last 2 or 3 years, how those genomics, those genetics are actually starting to play a really very meaningful role in what we do here at Grosvenor Farms. And one of the roles that AHDB do within genetics, which I think is vitally important, is they're almost the witch magazine for semen companies. They're the ones that give you very clear information and they will screen every bull proof to ensure that it's accurate and so there's no misinformation. I think if we get misinformation within this industry, we're in a very dangerous place. We need to know and be confident the information we're being told by the genetic companies is right. So I think what we're really concentrating at the moment is ensuring that we do things well, that our inputs are utilised the best we can possibly do. With fertiliser prices being so high, it's looking to try and use our manures as efficiently as we possibly can. Again, that'll help drive down our environmental impact as well as costs. It's ensure we're getting maximum yield out of our cows and health. They go hand in hand. Like all farms currently, labour shortages, the lack of labour coming onto our market. Again, it's something we need to do collectively as an industry. We need to make sure that people are looking at farming. Again, I think it's been a lost career, certainly within schools and colleges. I think we need to re-engage, spend some time with them. It's something we are actively trying to do on this farm, is to get schools, colleges, come on, see what we do, try and explain the technology that's involved within farming, because it's huge. And I think if we're going to attract the right people, I think we've got a great future in this industry. But we've got to realise that we've lost the cheaper imported labour that we had previously, and we've got to engage now with the UK workforce to make them look at this industry. So I think there's challenges currently, as we all know. The war in Ukraine has made a huge issue, especially around fuel, energy. Feed's been affected because of it. So we have rising prices. Thankfully, milk prices is keeping up with us. That helps. I think going forward, we're starting to feed even more of a squeeze on those costs as the cost goes higher. The environmental issues we've got attached to agriculture and our wish to get to net zero by 2040. And I think we've still got to make inroads onto that, and then to understand it. The Clean Air Act is coming out in 2027. That's going to impact us all, and again, we need to be ready for that as that comes through as well.